Alright, what's up y'all, it's LakerFan here. As actually by the title of today's video, here to ask, what is the best value for every attribute rating in NBA 2K23? We're going to go over that in today's video. We have multiple different ratings for each category listed. So we're going to get straight into this one. I hope you guys enjoy. If you do, for to drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on noties, all that good stuff. And like always, try us 1 to 2,000 likes. So we'll go from top to bottom. We're going to go from close shot all the way down, the finishing list, obviously, then when shooting, then playmaking, defense, and physicals. So let's first start off with obviously low end. We'll go to the high end after that. We'll do that for every rating. In my opinion, the low end good value rating is going to be 75 for close shot. As you can see, you get fast twitch and fearless finisher, both up a tier. Now, obviously depends on what your build is as far as what tier it's going to be between tier 2, 3, and 1, obviously. But with this, I want you guys to keep in mind too, always try and find that next attribute point that gives you a badge point. So for instance, right here, I do believe 75 is a really good threshold to hit, but for some builds, like this 6'8" height right here, if you go to 76, it will be the next threshold that gives you a badge point. Just keep that in mind. It fluctuates based on height. So always try to find something pretty reasonable as far as a neighboring rating and stuff like that you can find that will give you that extra badge point. But besides that, the next best low end threshold to hit would probably be 67. As you can see, close shot once again getting that badge point for this build and getting fast twitch on bronze. Now again, that's going to fluctuate based on every different height as far as what the extra badge point is. But until that point, like after 67, as you can see, anything in between until 75 is really not even worth going to. And then as far as a high end, I would say around 85 is probably where you want to be. As you can see, at 84 you get gold for this finisher, and then at 85 you get fast twitch on gold. For this build as well would get the extra badge point too, and that's generally something that you see on a lot of builds. Alright, next up we have driving layup. In my opinion, I think a really good threshold to try and hit is going to be 80. If you don't have close shot upgraded, we'll just go ahead and take it down just for the sake of showing you what pretty much you get with each rating threshold. At 77, you get fearless finisher on silver, which for a lot of guards is pretty nice to get. You end up around 75 or so anyway. As you're going to see right here, your ball handle kind of forces it up. So let's say take the driving layup all the way down and put the ball handle up. As you can see, it goes up with it in a -20 threshold. So anything that you have for ball handle, it's going to be 20 higher than your driving layup at minimum. For most guards, we're going to talk about the 95 ball handle. If you do go for that 95 ball handle on a small guard, this by default is going to be up to 75. Then at that point, if you go one more higher, at 76, you get the acrobat on silver. At 77, you get the silver fearless finisher as well. But in my opinion, I think 80 is where you really want to shoot for. As you can see, you get things like Slithery, Pro Touch, and Giant Slayer all level higher. And the 80 not only is tied to a lot of really good badges, but also is tied to the Zach LaVine layup package and a ton of different other layup packages as well. There are so many of them that are restricted to 80. Now, our next threshold that we're going to talk about is going to be the higher end for the driving layup, and in my opinion is 87 to 88. Now, 87, you get fearless finisher on gold. That's a really big W as far as just your contested finishing. At 88, though, is the long athlete layup package. This is going to be really good for taller bigs, anybody who's 6'10 and above and can't get those smaller guard or wing restricted driving layup packages. So again, that long athlete is something you really want to shoot for. If you're going to be an inside big man that has really good like finishing and stuff like that, that's a pretty rare build, I will say though. But 88 is the threshold you want to reach if you want to be elite with the gathers on the layups. Other than that though, honestly, I would just say whatever fits your badge point and stuff like that. Like let's say for instance, you have an inside big man build and maybe you just have a bare minimum of like 50 something layup, just go to like 54 or something like that. Or maybe whatever is becoming more expendable, like maybe you go to 60 as well. Anything that reaches the badge points. Anyway, moving along, let's go to the driving dunk. This is going to have a lot of fluctuation with it. So in my opinion, the low end budget is 50. I've made this video a lot of times. I have a video a couple months ago showcasing it, specifically talking about the power of 50 driving dunk. I have a video very recently showcasing my 6'8" lockdown that has 50 dunk, and it's a very efficient like threshold to hit. You get the Manu Ginobili dunk packages. I'm a big fan of it, and I think for the bang for your buck, this is honestly the best one in the game. I think the fact that you can just dunk the ball and in a very quick way is a really nasty addition to a build. However, going for 80 is also very cheap, and it's probably the best dunk in the game. With the quick drops off one, the silver limitless takeoff, as you can see, you get it at 79 right here. And realistically, I would say 78 is a really good threshold to hit because it gives you front clutches, which also makes it so your vertical doesn't have to be very high either. As you can see, it goes to 58. If you go any lower, it's going to take the driving dunk down with it. But 78 is a really good driving dunk because it gives you the front clutches, but the problem is you only have bronze limitless takeoff off that, so it's never going to be worth you actually rationing that. 80 is just where it's going to be the best threshold. You get the quick drops off 1, again the silver limitless takeoff, and this is really what every small guard shoots for. However, there are some other really good thresholds to hit. In my opinion, 86 is one you really want to shoot for. At 84 though, you get the pro contact dunks. Mind you, we'll talk about the vertical a little bit later, but just to kind of cut to the chase, you would need 75 vertical plus 84 driving dunk for the pro contacts. I'm a bigger fan though of the 86 driving dunk. It gives you the gold limitless takeoff, and I think that's just a really good threshold to hit if you're already going to go for that 84 anyway. If you're someone that wants to go for the contact dunks, having gold limitless takeoff could be really convenient and really nice to have. Aside from that though, the next driving dunk threshold that we would probably talk about is going to be the 92-93 range. So 92 for very specific niche builds, like a 6'9" that has a 6'10" wingspan can get 92 driving dunk and 92 3-pointer. That's the only build I'd really recommend 92 dunk on the dot for. Other than that, I definitely recommend 93. It gives you the gold posterizer, paired with obviously at 92 you get the elite contact dunks as well. So 93 is really my true threshold that you would want to hit on the elite end of dunking. It's what I have on pretty much both my builds that are very slasher oriented. I do have 94 on my new one just because it hits another badge point, but that's really the only reason. 93 is just a really good threshold to hit. Alright, so for standing dunks, we have a lot of variety to this. So for the low end, we're talking 45. It gives you 2 standing dunk packages. This is a very dependable and very reliable amount to have. I can tell you it and I can vouch for it myself. When I upgraded all my builds, I start at like a baseline of 45, and I don't really care to upgrade my standing dunk all the way to the 70 that I normally get on them. I'll talk about that in a second because that's the next threshold to hit. But 45 in my opinion is so reliable, it's ridiculous how good it is. And if you're gonna go with a build that has no standing dunk, I still recommend to put it to at least 40 or 45, even on like maybe a 6'5" and above guard or anything like that. Maybe even a smaller guard than that, but it's gonna be pretty unlikely you have standing dunk more than 40 on those types of builds. Long story short though, I'm just saying 45 gives you 2 standing dunk packages. It's a really good threshold to hit in my opinion. Again, one of the best values in the game. To go with something like this, it's what my 6'8" build has, the lockdown, and this is an unbelievable rate of dunking to only invest this much into it with the 50 driving dunk and the 45 standing. So next up, we have the 70. So in my opinion, 70 gives you the bronze fast twitch, which I don't really recommend to put on unless you are someone that gets it maybe in the tier 2 and tier 1. For me, on my 6'9", it's a tier 3, so I don't really run it or anything like that, but 70 gives some really good packages as well. Not to mention at 65, you get the Ben Simmons package, which is a very reliable amount of standing dunks too. I think it's a great contribution. And other than that, we have pretty much thresholds of 10. So at 80 standing dunk, you get rise up on silver. Not to mention you get the pro big man contact dunks as well, the standing ones. And again, you need vertical for that. I believe it's in the 60s or something like that. I don't know the exact number on the vert, but long story short, 80 standing dunk does give you those for the pro big man contacts. However, 90 and gold rise up goes so hard for the elite big man contacts. You need 75 vert to pair with this. If you do go with something like maybe an 84 driving dunk, 90 standing dunk type build, getting 75 vertical would go super hard with this stuff, because then you would have the pro contacts for the driving, you'd have 90 standing dunk for the elite and pro for the big man contact dunks, and in general 90 goes really hard. It's by far the most reliable threshold to hit. There's not much else that's really convenient past 90 in my opinion. 94 is probably not worth it for gold fast twitch. I would recommend to probably just go with the 85 close shot instead of that, instead of going to the 94. And then after that, again, not really any reasonable thresholds to hit. 98 standing dunk is way too ridiculous to get Hall of Fame rise up, if you ask me. That is not worth, and as you can see, you need 99 for Hall of Fame fast twitch. So I say just keep it with a 90 and probably get your close shot up to 85 instead to get that gold fast twitch. Alright, so next up we have pose control. Now the reason I'm going to zoom out on these badges is, as you can see, this is also going to influence your playmaking badges. So for instance, we have vice grip, quick first step, and unpluckable being influenced by your post control. Now I'm going to say that 80 is a really huge threshold to hit. If you go 80 post control, you will get bronze quick first step, as you can see. You not only get that, but also a very elite level of like finishing badges when it comes to the gold back down punisher, Hall of Fame post spin technician. If you want to go more like into the Hall of Fame drop stepper threshold, this is really getting into an area that's way too much if you ask me, but after the 80, 87 is probably the most reliable threshold to hit. As you can see, you get the dream shake, you get the back down punisher, you get the drop stepper, and you get silver quick first step as well for the 87. So I think 80 and 87 are the two thresholds you want to hit for post control. Anything after that, in my opinion, is a little bit OD. because it's realistically only going to be tied to your playmaking badges. So for instance, Vice Grip at 91, as you can see, you get the Gold Quick First Step at 94, and then the Hall of Fame Unpluckable at 95. So if you really wanted to go elite with it, 95 is probably the best threshold, or at least like budget to hit, but it's still pretty expensive. I mean, as you can see, look at how much this overall is going up for every like rating that we up it by. This is a very, very ridiculous amount of overall points to be spending on something like this. Now, if you do go to 99, I don't really have it shown right here, but we can go ahead and go to the playmaking real quick and showcase. You need 99 post control to get Hall of Fame Quick First Step. Again, not worth it if you ask me. You do not need this much post control in general anyway to hold on to the ball. I mean, I just think having a little bit of post control paired with some unpluckable goes hard already as it is. So I'm not a huge fan of being super expensive with post control. I think 80 is a good threshold to hit just in general, because once again, it does give you, as you can see, that bronze quick first step, the Hall of Fame post spin, and then the gold back down punisher as well. All right, so now let's talk shooting. Not many things to talk about here. We're really just talking about three-pointer and mid-range. So real quick, I want to talk about how they kind of coexist with each other. So if you upgrade your three-pointer, as you can see, it forces your mid-range up with it at a 15 below threshold. So anything that you have for 3-point rating, it's going to be 15 behind for the mid-range rating. How that kind of works though is for most builds where you go with a 92 3-pointer right here, I would say most people try and just find the next badge point they can hit. It's going to be a little bit different with a 6'5". It's really weird. For 6'1" guards, generally it's 78 mid-range. It gives you that next extra badge point, so a lot of people shoot for it. But what I think is a really reliable threshold to hit as far as the badge points go, I'm talking that Hall of Fame Mini Magician at 81. This goes so hard. I mean, I've seen it displayed with bigs, I've seen it displayed with guards, I've seen it displayed with everything. And whether it's standing mid-range shots, fadeaways included too, we have post-hop jumpers as well, all that stuff included, and obviously post-fadeaways too. I don't know if the post-hops are more related to Space Creator, but nonetheless, post-fades and just fading in general in the mid-range, and even standstill shots are influenced by this. And I think 81 mid-range is a fire threshold to hit. I don't think anything else is really necessary, but there are some really tall big builds if you ended up going with like a low wingspan 7-footer. 94 mid-range is kind of cool because it gives you the Hall of Fame blinders, where generally you're on a build that maybe only gets like 92 3-pointer and 94 mid-range as a maximum. So if you really were like a stretch big, like a pure stretch, you could go with something like this. My boy Zeke made a build that's like this as well. It's his KD build, 6'11", like pretty much stretch big. Because once again, you can't get anything else when it comes to the shooting badges, like for instance, Agent 3, Deadeye, Limitless, anything like that. Mid-range rating is only tied to blinders as far as the really cool badges go that require that high 3-point rating. So I would say 94 is the absolute maximum you should ever invest in the mid-range. More than likely though, probably more around like 81 for that Hall of Fame Mini Magician. Alright, so now we got the 3-pointer. Now, I know there are going to be some builds out there, like I'm sure a lot of you guys, if you're an outside big man, any popper type builds, you probably max out around 75 to 76 3-pointer. 76 is going to be a really nice one because you get that gold claymore as well, which is generally going to be a tier 1, tier 2 for most builds. And anything more than that, it's hard to find a really good threshold. 79 gives obviously corner specialist and clutch shooter, which isn't really that big a deal. Obviously at 80, you get the volume shooter and blinders. You don't really find very many influential ones until about 82 to 83 3-pointer. So we'll talk about the 81 to 82 real quick. As you can see, you get Amped, Green Machine, and Deadeye, all one level higher. That's more important for pretty much just specifically Green Machine. But at 83, you get the Silver Agent 3, and I think that's a huge deal. I really am a big advocate of 83 3-pointer if you're someone who puts the ball on the ground and shoots the ball after. Simple as that. For spot-ups, I think 82 is pretty reasonable just to max out of that Gold Green Machine. You probably don't need anything more than that, to be completely honest with you, but again, the 83 3-pointer for the Agent 3 on Silver goes really hard. Speaking on those guards though, 89 3-pointer is where you see a huge influence as well. So 89, as you can see for this build specifically, gets an extra badge point, but the Gold Agent 3 and the Gold Blinders, that is a very big threshold to hit. I think for anybody that uses screens, this is 100% necessary just in general, and it's a really good threshold to hit even if you do run ISO. Blinders and Agent 3 can be really important just in general off fading, and if you want to be an elite fader, so to say, I think you need 89 3-pointer just in general. But 92 is where we get the Gold Limitless range. I think this is a really big deal for pick and roll guards. You really need this if you ask me at a comp pro-am level personally. Anything more than that is kind of overdoing it, to be honest with you. As you can see, it's very, very expensive on your ratings. Like, let's just showcase this one, talking about the mid-range and the 3-point rating going up together with this. As you can see, if you're going from 95 3-pointer and 80 mid-range, we are literally going up 2 overall points from 66 to 68. That is really, really tough, man. It's extremely expensive. But as you can see, at 96 3-pointer, getting that Hall of Fame Agent 3 and 97, the blinders. If you wanted to go with an elite 3-point shooting build, I think it's more worth to go with, like, say, for instance, this 97 versus 99. I know 99 is very appealing, but as you can see, we're going up literally for 2 3-point ratings, 3 overalls. That is extremely expensive. Not even reasonable at all, and you only get 1 badge point off of it. So I am a personal fan of the 92, 89, and then 83 thresholds. We'll just put it like that. All right, next up, we got the playmaking. This one's very simple for me. I think it's as simple as this. 75 pass accuracy gives you the LeBron James pass style. I think that's a bare minimum necessary requirement for this game, if you ask me. I really am a big fan of it, and I think just in general hitting that 75 threshold is a really big deal. After that, 85 is where I'm a big fan of. As you can see, it gives you that Hall of Fame dimer gold bailout. You also get the LaMelo Ball pass style as well, which I think is extremely good too. It's just a little bit annoying for Pro-Am. Like, let's say the only thing that it really deters you from, in my opinion, is if you're a pick and roller. You're in the paint and hitting kickouts, whether it's from the paint to the wing or paint to the corner. That's the really annoying part of it. Anything after that, though, whether it's outlet passes, whether it's, let's say, a big man who's grabbing boards and throwing leaks and stuff like that, 85 pass accuracy is fire, but on top of that is 86. So if you're a big man, I do recommend the 86. As you can see, you get the Hall of Fame break starter, Hall of Fame floor general, and then the gold needle threader all off of that, which as a big man, I think are pretty necessary badges for you to run. I think Hall of Fame break starter is a fire addition. Not to mention, just to be able to run Hall of Fame floor general and Pro-Am is a really cool thing. It's really helpful that Tonic has that for us. And then gold needle threader, not quite as important to be honest with you, but it is still a nice addition as well. So whether you want to be an 85 or an 86 kind of guy, it's really the same difference. But 86 is a nice investment. It's just about how you can budget out your final parts of your build, if you ask me. All right, so now for ball handling. In my opinion, the bare minimum that you should ever strive for if you want to be a decent ball handler is going to be around 70. This is something that I get with a 6'11", and as you can see, you get the bronze handler for days and bronze quick first step on this, and that's a really cool addition if you ask me when it comes to being like an oversized dribbler. Now, as you can see, we're displaying this on a 6'1" guard, so it doesn't look that good, but to max out of this on like a 6'11" build is actually kind of cool. You definitely get some decent dribble moves off it as well. The next threshold that I would try and hit is around 85. So at 85, you're going to see you get the unpluckable at 84. Then at 85, you get quick first step and hands for days to both go up a tier. So you can see the very big importance in this whole 83 to 84 to 85 threshold right here. I think 85 is probably the best threshold in the game to hit in general. You get a lot of different dribble animations too with the 80 to 85 range, and just in general, as I said, a lot of badge points right here. 87 gives you the gold clamp breaker, but I don't think that's quite as big of a threshold to hit. In some cases it's not worth going for it. I think the bare minimum, if you want to be like a good dribbler, would definitely be around 95. You need that handles for days on silver, and you need that quick first step on gold as well. And not to mention too, you need gold unpluckable at a bare minimum too. So 85, definitely a really good threshold to hit. After that, we have 95 and 96. So it's funny because my boy AK, I want to give you guys a story on this too, and just give you his background and maybe use him as an example here. He, on his day 1 guard build, gave it 94 ball handle for the gold handles for days. He didn't think he would need the 95 for Hall of Fame unpluckable, as you can see right here. So his day 1 guard build was 94. He realized that the gold unpluckable was not good enough and he needed Hall of Fame, so his next guard build was 95. Now, he's seen eyeball greens in the comp Pro-Am stuff with it and has 96 ball handle, or actually greens for that matter has literally, I think, 98 or 97. But the 96 for the Hall of Fame clamp breaker is now AK's 3rd guard build that he's made as well, all just in this threshold of 94, 95, and 96. So if you want to use him as an example, 96 is a really good threshold to hit, but 95 is probably the bare minimum. Do not just make your guard with 94 ball handle just because you want this gold hands for days. If you're going to do that, invest one more into it and get that Hall of Fame unpluckable. And clamp breaker is up to you as far as whether you like this for your dribble style or not, but it makes you really hard to defend, bro. I'm going to be real with you. Makes you a pain to full court press in Pro-Am. Makes you a pain to even get body ups on in general. Clamp breaker goes hard, bro, and to get it on Hall of Fame is a really crazy thing. Alright, so next up we have Speed with Ball. This is a very easy one to talk about. In my opinion, it's literally just 75. Simple as that. It's the best budget in the game. You get Michael Jordan dribble style, and it's the best dribble style in the game, period. That's what literally the elite point guards even use, and most of them are making elite point guard builds with literally a bare minimum of just Speed with Ball. So for instance, if you were to go with, say, that 96 ball handle build, it would literally just be 81 Speed with Ball. Simple as that. And a lot of people, if they end up making a build that maybe has let's say around, I don't know, even 85 ball handle, 86, 87, we'll just use 87 as an example. This is literally what you're gonna be looking at for pretty much everybody's build, is 87 ball handle and 75 Speed with Ball. Simple as that. It's really the 6'9" meta right there. It's what makes 6'9s really good. If 6'9s didn't even get 75 or 76 speed with ball, it would make it a very, very crazy game as far as the variety you would see behind it, because that 75 speed with ball goes so hard with the Michael Jordan dribble style. It's just so much faster than everything else in the game. But anyway, moving into the defense real quick, I gotta change builds because as you can see, this maxed out at like 59 interior D. So to start us off, we have interior defense. This is gonna be something I'll recommend more around like the 76 range or so, or maybe even just in general, like the high 70s, low 80s, I would say, if you want to be a really decent interior defender. Now, that's just at the face level as far as what you would just be seeing when it comes to the gameplay and what your rating really requires to just be able to play solid interior defense. Other than that though, I would just say badge points in general. They're pretty hard to find in some situations. It's a lot. Interior D doesn't really give a lot of badge points. I'll just put it like that. But as you can see, 83 in this case would be the badge point. I would be pretty comfortable just sitting there as well. As you can see, we get the Hall of Fame workhorse off that. You get the silver post lockdown too. So it's a pretty decent threshold to hit as far as that goes. Aside from that though, I would say the brick wall thresholds. So we have 89 interior D, 96, and 99. I've seen my boy Dimes, and we could actually showcase his build real quick and just really what you get with the interior defense. So he has a 7-foot center build that he uses for pro-am where he guards backside defense, like he plays pick and roll D, sometimes moves to the corner as well, but nonetheless, he has a 7-foot big with 99 interior D and is able to get the Hall of Fame brick wall off that. That's actually a really cool thing. You can be a little bit more agile than most, like I would say, super tall bigs that need that to get the Hall of Fame brick wall. You're going to have about 15 more speed than most bigs, just off the fact that you're getting it through interior defense and not through strength. Because with strength, you have to have a really like crazy amount. Not to mention, I just think in general it's cooler to have better interior defense than strength. I'd rather be a super high interior defensive guy than have a super high amount of strength and like be the opposite. So let's say, for instance, let me just use this as an example. So let's take the bare minimum amount of strength that we can have right here, maybe like 76. We'll just put it to 76 and have 99 interior defense. This looks a lot better in my opinion than do the opposite right here, where let's say, for instance, you would have the bare minimum amount of interior defense versus the strength. And again, we'd have to be even higher on the strength, like 94, to be able to get this. And this looks stupid, if you ask me. This looks ridiculous. So I'm not a big fan of that. I would rather reverse that role, if you ask me. But that's my kind of take on interior defense. I'd rather either have the badge points or like high 70s, low 80s, and then pretty much, like I said, just the brick wall ties. Simple as that. Next up, we got Prim D. This is going to be the 76, 86 thresholds. So to talk about the 76, first and foremost, as you can see, we get pick dodger, ankle braces, and workhorse all at a higher level. For the small guard builds, these are like probably 3 of the really important defensive badges that you would want. I would say pick dodger and ankle braces are more like tertiary things that they're like kind of nice to have. But workhorse you definitely want to have as a small guard. You have no access to really rebounding the ball in general, so to speed up a little bit in the off-ball, loose ball situations is pretty consistent and pretty nice to have, and it's really your only way to get in loose balls or rebounds in general. But after that, we have the 86 threshold. So the 86 threshold is really hard in my opinion because as you can see at 85, you get pick dodger on gold, and then at 86, you get workhorse, ankle braces, challenger, and clamps at a higher level. 86 is by far the best threshold in the game. I would say just in general of any attribute rating. Like this is really cool to get challenger, clamps, and workhorse, and ankle braces, and again, 1 level lower of the pick dodger right here, getting all like literally 5 badge worth of just a higher level that are really convenient to run. And also let's talk about this too. So let's compare between 76, or like let's just really make the difference of how bad you look on defense at 75 perimeter D versus if you had 86. So 75, obviously the upgrade to 76 is really fire. You get a lot of things right here. And then at 77, you get menace as well, which isn't really as big a deal. But anyway, moving on from like 77 to 78 to 79 to 80 to 81, 82, 83, 84, 85. We'll actually come back and stop at 84 because again 85 gives the pick dodger, but stopping at 84, you look no different as far as badges go between like 77 Prim D and 84. I think it's really just a really good threshold to hit that 86. It's really the difference between being an elite defender in my opinion and a very like poor defender, which is crazy to just upgrade like 2 ratings, then you go from a poor defender to a pretty good one in my opinion. After that, we have like probably just multiple different thresholds to talk about. So like 92 gives you clamps. Obviously, 97 is going to give you Hall of Fame clamps as well. So most of these thresholds work in the value of clamps. So at 91 to 92, you get the gold clamps. At 95, you get Hall of Fame challenger, which I don't really see a whole lot of people do, to be honest with you. I think 97 makes a whole lot more sense to shoot for as a pure lockdown, quote unquote. For most of the pure locks, this is what you're going to see. 97 Prim D, 99 steel. Simple as that. Not to mention the height that we're also showcasing right here. It's really what you see a lot of pure lockdowns use. But Anyway, let's talk about steal rating now. So for steal, I believe this does move in thresholds of 10. You can see a visual difference between like 70 steal rating to 80, not to mention that you get interceptor at 78. So if you could shoot for 80, I think it's a really good threshold to hit for small guards that maybe want to protect themselves on passing lanes. But there's so many different thresholds in this game for steal rating, because then you even have like the 85 steal for the silver glove, then you have 90 for the gold interceptor right here, then you have 95 for the gold glove, then you have 99 that upgrades both of them. So as you can see, they kind of work in like a level of 5 sort of deal. So for instance, at 95 is where you get the glove. At 90 is where you get the interceptor. At 85 is where you get the glove. At 80, or really like 78, is where you get the interceptor. But you can see they move in really like thresholds of 5 each, and generally it ties more to the interceptor threshold, where if you go to the next 10, boom, there's the gold interceptor. If you go to the next 10, boom, there's a Hall of Fame interceptor. And as you can see, it kind of just goes on and on with that. And as you can see, the bronze interceptor is at 58, which will pretty much cost 60. So I would say in steal rating thresholds, you want to move in increments of either 5 or 10. Simple as that. What do I think is the best value though? Let's just be real, man. It's probably 85, 90, or 99. Simple as that. 85 for the silver glove, which is more realistic for a lot of different builds and stuff like that. So for instance, like the 6'9", no matter what your wingspan is, the small guards, all types of stuff like that. The 90 for like max wingspan 6'9", is you're able to get the gold interceptor. It's pretty much what I have. It's what IQ has. It's what we use in Pro-Am. And then at 99, you get both of them on Hall of Fame. If you're a pure lock, it's really ridiculous. It's one of the best thresholds to hit in the game as far as the elite end of things. It's probably one of the only things, now that I think about it, that you really see people put to 99 in this game. You don't put Primdy to 99. It's just 97. I would say maybe the block is debatable. We'll talk about that in just a second for the Hall of Fame anchor. And I guess low-key, nah, I lied, because defensive rebound and rebound, people do still put to 99 sometimes for Hall of Fame rebound chaser. But in general, like your ball handle doesn't go to 99. Neither does speed with ball. Pass accuracy, no. Three-pointer, unrealistic. It's really expensive. Driving dunk, standing dunk, I still don't even think it's worth. And then same with layup and close shot. You don't really see any offensive ratings go to 99, and it's very rare in general that they do. So I think this is the one that's actually worth it, if you ask me, as far as the value, quote unquote. It's just if your build can get it or not. Anyway, next up we have block rating. The very minimum that I'm going to talk about with this is going to be 70. If you don't have block rating and you're just a smaller guard, don't feel bad about not reaching 70. I'm just saying for the people that do want to have some influence on interior defensive things, because as you can see, it unlocks that bronze anchor. You can get that in the tier 2 for some specific builds if you're short enough. As you can see, chase down is a very low requirement. You only need 47 block to get this on bronze, so we're not really worried about the whole bronze chase down artist thing. But 70, once again, in my opinion, could be a really fire thing. If you have bronze anchor, it goes hard, man. So if you want to protect yourself in the paint a little bit, get 70 block rating. It can go really, really to an extreme, and I think bronze anchor is just a really good thing to hit in general. After that, though, we do have a couple thresholds. So I want to talk about the intermediate one that makes you a pretty decent, like, I would say most lockdowns get something like this, where you're going to be 6'7", at a max wingspan 6'7", 87 block rating is something you can achieve. Now, the downside of it is you can't get this 88 block rating, which would give you the Hall of Fame chase down artist. It's a really cool thing where obviously you can get anchor upgraded and chase down in a threshold of 2 ratings right there. Simple as that. If you only have 86 block, it's going to be pretty unfortunate. I'm going to be real with you. That is a tough thing to miss out on, is that silver anchor in the Hall of Fame chase down. But 87 is something that a lot of blocks can achieve. They can't achieve 88. So that is a little bit unfortunate. But if you're maybe a 6'9", I would say you shouldn't even look at these thresholds right here. You should probably look at the 93. As you can see at 93, it gives you the gold anchor. It's a really reliable, really dependent thing. I think it's a really cool threshold to hit. It's a really elite level of interior defense. I've played with it recently versus having bronze anchor. And by the way, bronze anchor is so much better than none. And then gold is so much better than bronze in the first place too. So that just goes hard. If you want to go with a 99 block though, Hall of Fame anchor is legit as well. And I mean, it's kind of tough, but it does give you pogo stick on Hall of Fame as well. So maybe that's something you want to invest in. I don't think it's as mandatory to go for that 99 block as it is 99 steal though. 93 block performs pretty similar to Hall of Fame anchor if you ask me, whereas gold glove doesn't really perform quite as similar to Hall of Fame glove. Also, if you ask me, but that's just my 2 cents on it. I think 93 and 88 are the 2 thresholds that you would really like to reach, but if you want to be low end with it, 70 is something that's pretty respectable as well. All right, so then offensive rebound and defensive rebound kind of function together the exact same way, so you don't really need a whole lot for bronze box out beast. Generally, you're going to be someone that probably gets it in tier 1 anyway. You don't even need any requirements for it, so we're just saying, like, if you're a wing that isn't really involved in rebounding, you're probably 6'9" or below, so you get it in tier 1. I'd keep it as simple as that. If you're 6'10" that has no rebound, you're out of your mind. I'll just put it like that. But anyway, The next thresholds that we would be reaching would be 67. As you're going to see, that gives you the silver box out beast. It's a pretty cool thing to reach, and it works the exact same way for both different ratings. So as you can see, it works for O and D board. I think silver box out beast is pretty respectable. The higher you can get this as a low end rebounder, the cooler it is. So for instance, let's go to the 82 D board, which gives you the gold box out beast as well. This is something that both our 6'9" guards have in Pro-Am. They generally are just playing shooting guard now, but for a little bit we were running two of them on the court at the same time. And it's really cool to have someone who is more of a point guard or shooting guard able to guard the corner with gold box out beast. They actually contribute really well to rebounds. You guys maybe even saw Apollo in our wager against Joe playing on a build that had exactly this: 82 defensive rebound and gold box out beast. And it's really convenient, I will say, from a power forward and a center's perspective, where you can get your third rebounder as a corner box out guy to have that gold box out beast. It's a really cool thing. Other than that, though, we have like 85 gives you the silver rebound chaser. I'm not a big fan of shooting after that because I feel like you should just in general have way more rebounding than that if you're going to ever run rebound chaser. It's generally a tier 3 for anything 6'9" and above. 6'8" it's a tier 2, and 6'7" and below it's a tier 1. It's actually one of the first things I found out 1 hour into playing this game. But anyway, after that, what I would recommend if you want to be an elite rebounder in this game is 94. As you can see, you may get tricked into thinking 93 is the actual threshold to hit because it gives you the gold rebound chaser, but at 94, it also gives you the Hall of Fame box out beast, which, again, if I haven't really explained to you guys how great this badge is, it also helps you with worms on top of that too. So not only do you box people out really well, but it also helps you with worms. So let's just say, for instance, you're someone that's maybe more of an offensive rebounder. You could literally just go for something like this. 94 offensive rebound gives you the Hall of Fame box out beast and the gold rebound chaser. If you want to be elite with it, you can reach a 99 threshold with this. As you can see, it gives you the Hall of Fame pogo stick too, just off having a rebound rating at 99. So 99 is a good threshold to reach, but I would recommend more in the thresholds of this. I'm a big fan of 94. As you can see, like I said, the box out beast and the rebound chaser. I think 82 is a really cool threshold to hit as well. We actually, unfortunately, have the D board too high, so there you go. Now is the actual display of the box out beast reaching the gold. And again, maybe something around like 67 or so. I don't really know what to recommend for you guys. You could just go to 67 and it doesn't upgrade any O board with it hardly at all. So it's a decent threshold to hit if you want to have like a somewhat reliable defensive rebound. Anyway, let's move on to some physicals thresholds. So in my opinion, speed is more of like a in the 10s threshold. So let's say like the difference between 60 and 70, 70 to 80. My boy AK, let me use a good example for you guys right here. I've seen Zeke's guard build and my guard builds as well. They move kind of slow and sluggish off ball. Mine has around 75. I think Zeke's has 79 on the dot. And then AK has exactly 80. And 80 goes so hard for the small guards as far as like the big difference between just one threshold. So I'm of the belief that speed moves in thresholds of 10. Simple as that. If you have 80 speed, you're looking good. If you have 79, it doesn't look quite as good. I would recommend to try and hit thresholds of like 70 if you have around 68 to 69. Try and hit thresholds of 60 if you have like 59 to 58, something like that for the super tall bigs. That's my take on speed. There is no true sweet spot value or anything like that. It all depends on your build and its height and its weight and stuff like that, but that's at least my take on it. Moving thresholds of 10. All right, so for acceleration, we're going to talk about the same thing and come out here to the builder menu. So pretty much how I see this is positional value. Let's say like for instance at 6'1", it is going to be nice to get that 96 acceleration, except it's really expensive. So maybe you want to go for something more like 95. You can just go for the max weight that still gets 95 excel, and boom, there you go. You go like 6'1", 169 and get 95 excel. The acceleration goes so hard from moving with the ball in your hands. That's why I say it depends on positional value. So let's say you're like a 6'9" and you want to have pretty good acceleration, yet you still want to keep maybe that 92 3-pointer. So you can go 6'9", 6'10 wingspan, and then maybe let's say you wanted to get that defensive rebound to 82 so you can get the gold box out beast. I would say you could probably shoot for boom right here, and then the threshold cutoff is pretty soon, like 195 drops the excel. So maybe you can go something like this that gets the 193 weight, and then you can still keep the 80 acceleration and the 82 defensive rebound. All right, so then we have things like strength. In my opinion, I would just shoot for something like 76. We'll come back in here and just showcase why. So for instance, you can see this is going to upgrade your box out beast and your brick wall, and also back down punisher. So you can see the badges it's tied to. It also is tied to bully, which I'm not a huge fan of as far as like going for a super heavy strength build or anything like that, but 76, as you can see, gives the silver brick wall and the silver back down punisher as well. And maybe you're someone who is that exactly like what I was talking about earlier, where you do want to shoot for something that has pretty good box out ability out the corner, yet you're not really trying to contribute to the rebounds at all. You could just go with like the 76 and then boom, you have silver box out beast, silver brick wall, or let's say maybe 70 is more realistic too, because then you could just go for the box out beast alone and not really care about back down punisher or brick wall, anything like that. But in my opinion, I think this is like really unreasonable to try and hit in super high levels. I don't really recommend being a 6'9" or below that has super high strength personally. So to me, 76 is kind of the sweet spot. I'll explain why too. So let's say maybe you drop the weight down quite a bit, max the wingspan out. Now let's say, boom, we could maybe just be a 6'9" that gets 76 like strength on the dot, and then boom, there you go. You have pretty good speed while still keeping the really good height as well. You get the 94 D board for the Hall of Fame box out beast and the goal rebound chaser as well. And now you could be kind of like a stage big on top of that too. Let's say maybe you could go boom, just 201, get the extra D board threshold as well, and there you go. It looks really good if you ask me. And Silver Brick Wall is plenty reliable as far as being a screen setting big man, as far as like the poppers and stage, or maybe just park bigs in general. I even still use like no brick wall or maybe like silver as well when I play Pro-Am. So I'm gonna be with you guys, it's plenty playable with a low level of brick wall or even just silver in general. Alright, so next up we have vertical. Let's just keep this as about as simple as it needs to be. So let's move our driving dunk to 80. As you're gonna see, at 80 driving dunk, it forces your vertical up to 60. This is what you need for quick drops off one anyway. It is literally these requirements exactly: 80 driving dunk, 60 vertical. Simple as that. After that, if you do want pro contact dunks though, if you move that driving dunk to 84, you're gonna have to up that vertical to 75 anyway. So I do recommend this, not to mention, once again, we already talked about you need 75 vertical for the elite big man contact dunks too. So if you ever made a build that was 6'10" and above, this one doesn't actually get the elite big man contact dunks because it's height restricted, because this build is 6'9". But nonetheless, my whole point here is if you want to target a rating threshold like this, where you get 84 driving dunk, 90 standing dunk, and 75 vertical, this is really good for the pro contacts and the elite big man contacts as well. Anything past 75 vertical is only going to be for elite driving contact dunks. So if we were to go with like 92 driving dunk, or in my case, I like 93 a lot more, paired with 82 vertical, that's all you need when it comes to that. So that's pretty much my whole take on vertical. Simple as that. All right, and to finally cap off our super long video right here, we have stamina. Now, in my opinion, you look at how cheap stamina is. Please look at this with me, guys, because I'm so serious. It's by far the most cheap rating in the whole game. You can move this to 99 and only go up by 2 overall points. Now, I know some people's debate to that is why not just put it 95. They see a lot of my videos where I put it to 99. They're like, Laker, you're wasting so many attribute points. So many, as if it's really even that many in the first place. It's literally the difference of like 2 ratings anyway. Not to mention it's really like the difference of, who knows, like really not that much in the first place. I go from 86 stamina to 99 and I only go up to a 27 overall. Long story short here though, my whole point is people talk to me about the quote-unquote gym rat boost. In my opinion, that doesn't work like that in next gen. You don't see any +4s actually applied to your build. It's just a percentage type thing, if you ask me. That's how it's been all the way since 2K21 next gen. It was like that in 21, it was like that in 22, it's like that in 23 right now. Nothing has changed. There's no like +4s anywhere when you get gym rat. It's nothing like that. You just get 4 stars, and in my opinion, it's more of a percentage thing, or just a phantom boost, so to say. It does get boosted, yes. You can feel your player moving faster, and you can feel your stamina working better, but I don't believe that you can just go to 95 and see no difference between 95 and 99. Nonetheless though, I still think some really good thresholds to hit would be 90, 95, 99. Simple as that. I will say though, my whole premise of what I'm talking about here with stamina, don't be afraid of putting this all the way up. I'm gonna be real with you guys. It's the cheapest attribute rating in the game, besides maybe free throw as well. Like if we move our free throw to wherever it doesn't get upgraded, it's still really cheap. Also, speaking of which, I did forget to make this in the video, so let's backtrack real quick to free throw. 50 is actually really good, if you ask me. If you go any higher than that, it forces your mid-range up. So for me as an inside big man, and I make a lot of my bigs and just builds in general with inside and don't really want to upgrade the mid-range anyway, 50 is what I use, and I shoot at a pretty good percent in Pro-Am. I shoot like 83% from free throw. You guys can look at the Joe wager. I was pretty reliable with that as well. Any Pro-Am videos, I even showcased the power of 50 free throw. It was 50 free throw put to the test in 2K23. We played Sid and his boys as well, another really comp Pro-Am team, and I went like 7 for 8 from free throw with this in that game. So 50 is pretty reliable. Anything more than that is plenty fine though. 70 hits like crazy, 80 hits like crazy. If you have 90, you literally can't miss anyway. Not to mention, let's just go ahead and upgrade this to max so that 3-pointer and mid-range stay at wherever the heck they're supposed to be. And now if we go way down on the free throw, okay, so let's see, what do we need to do before free throw starts influencing things? Okay, and actually come to find out, I guess it's 83 mid-range at 58 free throw. So we'll just go 58 to 99. It's a 47 to a 48 overall. It's really not that big a deal. If you have a shooting build or anything like that, I would recommend just go ahead and upgrade free throw like crazy. It's really not expensive at all. If you were to invest super high into free throw anyway, you're going to be the like free throw shooter in rec for defensive 3 seconds, for transition take fouls. You can get easy takeover off it as well. So I just recommend, if you're going to be a rec player or like even just in general a Pro-Am player, maybe just invest in the free throw and stamina quite a bit anyway, because you don't really lose out on very much of the build. But anyway, that's all video. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, drop a like, something new, tell them noties, all good stuff. And like always, try to win 2,000 likes. If you made it to the end of the video, put value or put budget in the comments so it supports me all the way through. And I appreciate you guys watching this whole thing too, if you did, because this is a super long video, but I know this does really well on YouTube. The first one is already at like 150,000 views in like 3 or 4 months, which is crazy by the way. But anyway, I appreciate you guys watching this. We'll maybe update this one more time throughout the year, like a couple months from now, see if any of my opinions change or anything like that. Probably like 3 or 4 months again anyway. We'll do this maybe quarterly, so to say. That's not even a word. We'll just do it in increments of like 3 to 4 months. Simple as that. All right, so anyway, that's all for video. Hope you all enjoyed. On that, take these, man. Peace.